Good morning, good morning. Okay, good morning, y'all. When I tell you today is, what's today? Saturday morning. I literally waking up early. As you can see over there by my window in the background, that way. Okay, you can see the sun is literally shining through the window. So I said, you know what? Let me hurry up and talk about Real Housewives of Beverly Hills because I know I'm behind and I can't do y'all dirty again because I did not talk about the first episode. So we got to get into the second episode. Okay. Now look, I got the bonnet on because it's literally is morning. Okay, I told y'all I was gonna get my hair done and I wanted to keep it fresh. But do y'all want to see it though? Do y'all want to see it? Do y'all want to see what your girl did? Okay, hold on. Let me show you. Let me show you. Let me show you. Let me show you. Hold on, cause it's your girl went illustrious. Your girl went illustrious. Okay, your girl went illustrious this time. For those of y'all who were on my community page, y'all voted. I told y'all I wanted some singly twists, and so I finally did it. I'm so excited. I gotta be wearing that goddamn cotton beanie no more for the meantime. I got it a little ombre, okay, but y'all be able to see that more in some pictures or like when I'm over there by the window. But yeah, yeah, girl. Okay, this is how I'm feeling. And tell me how I'm feeling, all right? So now that we got that out of the way, let me freshen up because it's now that it's out the bonnet. You know, let it breathe a little bit. Okay, do I want it over here today? No, let me keep it over here today. It's in the way. I need to be able to talk to y'all. Okay. Now that it's out the way, let's go ahead and get Real Housewives of Beverly Hills out the way, okay? So, part 2 of the reading, you guys, let's go ahead and get into it. So, at this point, we know Garcelle is in the back, PO'd, pissed off. Sutton, you want to come in there trying to appease your friend and trying to, lick her wounds, and that is not what Garcelle is feeling right now, because when you was out there on that stage, when them white heifers was all up on Garcelle's ass, you was over there saying nothing, okay? Zero, zilch. So don't be trying to come back here talking about, oh my God, like, I just feel so bad. Like, they're mad at me. Girl, sitting on stage talking about everybody's mad at me. No, you know who's really mad at you. You can feel the energy off Garcelle, but you don't want to address it. You know you did Garcelle dirty. So in your mind, you're already tacking on the anxiety of yourself of knowing not only are these other ladies on your ass, but so is Garcelle. So she's back there just going off, which her ass should have been saying that on stage, but I'm gonna tell y'all what it really is. Garcelle don't want to be the that goes in on these white ladies, because Real Housewives of Beverly Hills in general, we know the Bravo fandom, when it comes to the black people, they can get beside themselves sometimes. So I think Garcelle, especially with knowing that Dorit was, kind of a fan favorite this season, and with Kyle being kind of like the quote unquote OG, she just didn't want to be the black woman. Like, she didn't want to go in on them. She just didn't, because she was going to get called a nook monkey sideways 2 times by these Bravo fans. So I really think that's what kept Garcelle from going in like that. And also for the fact that she checked out. Garcelle checked out after she realized, oh shit, like, oh, okay. Oh, you hoes want business with me. Okay. And at that point, I really feel like Garcelle was like, done. Okay. Done with it. Shout out to Jackie. So yeah, they go back on stage and Andy's asking, well, so Garcelle, I heard you had a few things to say back there. And basically she tries to read her to Kyle, like, yeah, when you came to talk to me about Morgan, I really felt like that was the play. Like, I really felt like it was very calculated. And Kyle's like, how dare you think it's calculated? Like, I came to you like as a friend because I really just was trying to, like strengthen that bond with you and, just really become closer. Girl, you ain't been one of Big Garcelle's friend this whole season. You ain't been one to do no interaction with Garcelle. But now all of a sudden it's, oh, I want to build a strong friendship with you. And no, just as Sutton called it, it was a chess move. But the problem is Sutton be trying to play both sides of the fence. You want to talk shit with Garcelle behind the scenes. But then, when we get on the front, you want to, sit there and try to lick on Kyle's tussie and be best friends with her, And so Garcelle was like, yeah, I'm not buying it. She was like, I really was just trying to be, build a bond with you, Garcelle. And Garcelle was just like, okay. So, speaking of Kyle, it's her turn. We got to get into Kyle and the fact that how she was treating Dorit and with Morgan, because in the fact that this is in general in Morgan with this whole situation, Andy kind of really got it to her too later on, because this whole Morgan situation is like, you're trying to ask us to not address it. And it's things that are still being put on the headlines. There's things that are still coming on, like on social media actively as we're filming. So to sit there and act like nobody should address it is just like weird. But Kyle's response is always, well, she didn't sign up for this. I'm the one who, brought her on, and, I feel kind of guilty for that. And so she's like, Andy was like, well, I mean, she's a music star. Like, is she not already in the public? She was like, well, it's different on Bravo, which I don't F with Kyle, but I'll give her a little touch on that one about like, okay, yes, things can become different in the Bravo world, okay, with the fans sometimes. So, but it doesn't negate the fact that, as Andy said, y'all was definitely playing into it. Kyle giving this woman tattoos, and then, y'all was everywhere together, from her singing at your friend's memoriam, then to the last bit of y'all creating a goddamn lesbian Brazzers video. So, and Andy was like, you do know, like, those were things that she was in charge of. And Dorit called it out. It was given. Y'all were just kind of like, well, they running with him. Let's give him something to talk about. Okay, that's what Kyle and Morgan did. And then Kyle cut it with the bull with, because Bose was like, well, why don't you just say with your chest? Okay, talking about, I don't want to talk about it. That's it. But you just kind of kept giving us like these roundabout, lies and answers and stuff. And you literally just could have just said that. And she was like, I wish I did that, because at the end of the day, I'm never going to, for a TV show, for ratings, say anything that could hurt my daughters. Kyle, what does admitting that you like to bump coochies got to do with your daughters? Your daughters is millennials, Gen Z on down. They got plenty of lesbianist friends and gay friends. For like, now you bring your daughters in it like that got something to do with, because if that was the case, you certainly weren't thinking about your daughters when you made the video with Morgan. So now all of a sudden it's, I will do anything, to protect my girls. Shut up. Shut up. So, Dorit was like, yeah, like, girl, Dorit and Andy, boy, they kept cutting Kyle off, and she's like, well, can I finish? And Andy was like, well, I will say, the music video didn't help your situation, and so Dorit was like, girl, she became a household name, in which she did. Like, Morgan came on, and now everybody was talking about Morgan Wade, and then did y'all notice how Kyle kept reiterating, that she didn't get in trouble? Because Dorit basically kind of was like, because they brought up how, basically Kyle and Dorit's friendship in the midst of this, because I Watch What Happens Live, Andy asked Dorit, how do you feel about, Kyle and Morgan's friendship, and how that has affected y'all's friendship? And Dorit answered honestly, and she said, ever since Kyle has been hanging out with Morgan, I can definitely tell there's been some distance. And for Kyle to sit there on stage and talk about, oh, when you answered that on Watch What Happens Live, you took that as an opportunity to make a dig. What about that was a dig? Just because you didn't like what I had to say doesn't make it a dig. She was like, he asked me the question, and I answered honestly. Like, I felt like y'all's friendship created a distance with us. And so Kyle, once again, lying, talking about, well, because I knew that wasn't the thing. I knew that it wasn't because of Morgan why we separate, like we began to become distant. Basically, Kyle didn't want to F with Dorit after that Watch What Happens Live mess. And this is when they started, splitting, and we started noticing the cracks, obviously, with last season. And then they get asked about, their friendship, and basically how Dorit showed that text message last season before the reunion. And so, because Kyle was like, I wasn't friends with you at the time. Like, I didn't feel like we were friends or whatever. And so, Dorit was like, well, exactly. You said we weren't friends. So, when I'm showing this text message, I'm not thinking about you. Like, you sent me that text message to very much be manipulative. We ain't talked. I messaged you for your birthday. You ain't text me back, ho. And now, all of a sudden, right before the reunion, you want to give me this, oh, we're going to reunion. Like, let's remember the type of friends that we were and let's not bring up more stuff. Girl, Kyle is so calculated is the word. So yeah, Dorit was like getting her, like, you talking about, because she later on when they were talking about PK, which we move on to, matter of fact. So she was like, we were good, especially until like the whole, we were finally getting back until the PK situation, which I'm sure we'll talk about. And he's like, we're going to talk about it right now. Okay. and so they do the playback of Kyle during the season and having her big dramatic moment at the end. I didn't text PK and it was y'all trying to turn it into something that it wasn't. Okay. Y'all are not going to make me feel like the bad person here. That's it. I read the text message. That is it. Boy, I tell you, white women love to put on them tears. So, yeah. So, basically, after that whole, they did the footages, Dorit was like, Kyle, can you watch that back and not see how effed up that is, because you was, big boss when you was with Bose. And basically was like, because Bose was like, Dorit as your friend would love to see like the messages or whatever. And Kyle's like, well, if she wants to, see the messages in my phone, she could just F right off because that's not effing happening. And it's like, but I thought you said you were a girl's girl, Kyle. You're a girl's girl, right? And you want to say something about, I grew up with I have daughters. I grew up with sisters. I grew up with my mom in the household, it was all girls. Like, I'm a girl's girl. Just because you keep saying it don't make it real, Kyle. So you are now sitting here calling yourself a girl's girl and know that you were Dorit's friend first. But now because you weren't talking to Dorit, now it's like you befriended PK. So much so in the confessional, you even said PK's been a better friend to me, than Dorit, right now. What the fuck? It's like, how, like, what? How would you think that wouldn't like make Dorit feel some type of way? So, they get into basically the whole Viper Room situation where they was yelling back and forth with each other. And, Kyle was just kind of feeling like, it just seemed like every little bitty thing, like I was getting, like piled on. And so, to mention the whole PK thing as if I was trying to do something malicious or insidious. This when Erica popped up, she was like, I don't think nobody really thought that, nobody was thinking that you and PK were messing with each other. No, that wasn't the gist of what was wrong with everything, Kyle. What was wrong with everything was the fact that, as Bose called it out, because Bose was like, I called you a liar. Yep, sure did. I called you a liar. And Kyle's like, I've never been called a liar in my life. And she was like, well, I feel like you did, because at the end of the day, you weren't telling the truth, and Kyle's like, I said everything. She was like, girl, when you omit, you lie. Cause that's, that's what niggas love to do. When you ask them a question and they give you an answer and then you come back and you hear some other information and they be like, well, why didn't you tell me that? And it's like, well, you didn't ask, or that's not the question that you asked me. Nigga, you lying about omission or being like, oh, did you go to the store at 7:00 and somebody being like, no. And then hearing they went to the store at 8:00. And it's like, come on now. You went to the store at the end of the day. That's what we're trying to get to. I.e. Kyle, you were messaging PK at the end of the day is what we're trying to get to. And then you felt like you were doing something by showing everybody at Chuck E. Cheese, as Dorit brought up. It was like, especially with the Chuck E. Cheese situation, now here it is. Oh, you're reading. Oh, this was after the announcement of them divorcing or splitting or whatever. And so, Kyle, you got a whole message talking about, oh, I would never, I'm always a friend to you. I would never tell anybody, basically I'll always be your friend. And so Kyle tried to make it about not saying anything in regards to filming on the show. But in regards to also filming on the show, Dorit is attached to that. And so, that also is a collusion of like, okay, I won't say anything also on the show, but also I won't tell your wife right now because I ain't good with her right now. So that's like, Kyle is really playing in everybody's face. That whole middle segment of Kyle was really just Kyle playing in everybody's face until we finally got to the end part after Dorit was emboldened. Everybody was like, girl, the way you were trying to not have the information, like omit it and act like, oh, it was just memes. It's just memes and jokes we text each other. It's just memes and jokes. But then y'all remember at the end of the season, by the end of the season, she was like, well, of course it wasn't just memes and jokes. I mean, I would think that you're smart enough to know that. And then call everybody else dumb for basically calling it the stuff that you called it. Like, for you said it was memes and jokes, but we found out it's more than that. And then you're like, well, no shit, Sherlock. Of course it's more than memes and jokes. Like, we're friends. Bitch, don't you play my face. Like, this is what Kyle was doing that whole time. And so, after that, Dorit just kind of really giving it to Kyle, basically just like, how am I supposed to be friends with you? And you're speaking to PK, and Andy asked Kyle like the last time she spoke to PK, and she was like, oh, I texted him when Jagger ended up in the hospital, and after they had that screaming match at Oceanside, she basically was like, she messaged PK after that. Because Dorit was like, I do know, like, Kyle, all you needed to be honest, because at the end of the day, PK tells me everything. And she was like, I know that. And so Garcelle was like, all you had to say was I was talking shit about you a little bit, just a little bit, And Kyle, you were. It definitely with PK going through divorce with Dorit, and y'all both trying to get sober, and him, being contentious with Dorit, and you being contentious with Dorit, it definitely was some time in which you was speaking mad cash money shit about her. I'm sure of it. And so that's why Dorit was like, you do know he tells me everything. And that's why Garcelle was like, all you had to say was like, yeah, I might have talked about you a little bit, but Kyle's determined to say that, oh, I wasn't. I promise you I wasn't. Okay. And so she was like, so how about Oceanside? And so Andy was like, wait, you texted PK about that? And so Kyle was like, yeah, after the whole thing happened, I went outside and I messaged PK, like, to let him know what happened, like, to let him know. And so it's like, why did you feel the need to go message PK? Like, that just goes to show how much, like, you're running to him to talk about you and Dorit's incident. Why? That's my question, is why? What he got to do with anything? Was it like you were trying to run back to him and say something before Dorit could say something? Like, why? What? That goes to show, like, how much you are. It's how much it is more than memes and jokes. The fact that you were running to him and to tell him about that, because he had nothing to do with that. So yeah, after that, did I miss anything? Like I said, majority of this was just really everybody's on Kyle's ass about the bullshit that everybody can clearly see through. So basically Andy asked them about, where their friendship is going forward. And Dorit at this point was like, I would like to. Kyle says she would like to, but they need to talk outside of cameras. And Andy felt some type of way. He was like, what? Outside of cameras and Andy. And Kyle, also one thing too is like, you haven't, because they brought up like Kyle and Dorit feel like there's one set of rules for each other, because Dorit was like, it feels like Kyle has one set of rules for her. And Kyle was like, well, shoot, I feel the same way. She was like, you let Erica get away with a lot of stuff that you wouldn't dare let me get away with. And Dorit was like, bitch, the lies you tell. She's like, that's been the problem. That's the reason why we're in this situation, because I did let you get away with so much stuff. And, Dorit has been quiet in regards to feeling, probably, slighted a little bit when it comes to you and Morgan's friendship and how you've been acting on the show and things like that. And so, you want to conveniently forget. And she was like, when you do things, you want to get mad at me, call me not a good friend. But, when you showed the text message, that's not what a good friend does. That's not what somebody who's friends with you does. And Dorit's like, bitch, we weren't friends. Like, Kyle, you keep trying to bring up that text message situation like she owed you something at the end of the day at that time. Dorit owed you absolutely nothing, because you literally kept saying to everybody, oh, we weren't as close. Like, we weren't close friends like that. And so Dorit's like, this shit don't make any sense, because weren't we just together? Literally us as couples. They were out the country it was Morgan, Kyle, Mo, PK, and Dorit. She was like, we literally were all together in Italy. And like after that, like that's when things got a little weird. And so how are we not friends like that when I'm going out with you? Like Kyle definitely was trying to minimize their friendship. And so at that point, bitch, oh, we not friends like that. We not close. Okay then. We not close, then I don't owe you nothing. We not friends. So don't dare try to get mad at me because I'm now acting like we ain't friends, bitch. Like what? But yeah, oh, it came back in my mind about how Dorit was like, her coming on the show or whatever, not saying things about Morgan, because I'm sure, Kyle gets the brunt of it with them, being, with each other or whatever. And Kyle was just like, I don't get in trouble. Like, I don't get in trouble. It's not that I'm getting in trouble. She just feels like, it's too much. Like her anxiety gets in the way and things like that. And it's giving potentially Kyle be dealing with Morgan cussing her ass out. Like the way she was just trying to reiterate, like, I don't get in trouble. I was like, do she be cussing your ass out, Kyle? So we move on to the section with Sutton. Y'all know Sutton. And so we see her part. And they bring Jennifer Tilly out for that part too. Jennifer Tilly came out just looking so riche, okay? Just so nouveau riche, okay? Wealthy, bitch, okay? And so they come out, they bring Jennifer Tilly out. Sutton's going. Her segment, basically, long story short, is getting in everybody's ass and everybody feeling like she has horrible, timing when it comes to, for the sisterhood, but then also at the same time, you, as the other girls don't like, you asking questions about their business. They don't like it, They don't like Sutton being the one to having to get into the nitty gritty of what's really going on in these girls' lives. And so basically Dorit was on Sutton like, girl, the way you were acting this season, then plus the things you said about, obviously, picking up somebody's whose wallet fits, okay? Oh, they also brought out Kathy. Sutton said, the reason she passed out last time was because of her, I don't know, potassium was low or something like that. And so that's why, she wasn't here last season. Right, she was running because don't nobody want that business with Big Cat, okay? But yeah, so the way Sutton was mute this reunion was crazy. And in fact, Dorit was like, where's that Sutton at? Where's she at? You ain't said nothing but 2 minutes of words since you been here, Sutton. Where is that girl at? Because this right here, that's fake. That's fake. And she's like, that's not me. Oh, because they brought up the fact that Sutton cut off Dorit when she was talking on the way before Garcelle's beach house. And so Sutton admitted, she's like, I'm breaking the fourth wall here. Producers asked me to basically cut it off. And so she was like, I just didn't know how to do it. So Andy's like, why couldn't you just be like, hey, sorry to cut this short, but I just don't want to be late, or can we finish this conversation in the car? We really got somewhere to go. Like Sutton just being like, I didn't know how to do it. And she was like, but then it wasn't just that. It was like, you were also being like, oh boy, this sure is going on a long time. Like, yeah, Sutton. She was like, what's Miss Manners? You're supposed to be Miss Manners, right? And Sutton's like, I'm no longer Miss Manners. She's like, oh, you're not Miss Manners no more? And even Erica joined in on that because, she, being from the South, is feeling like, oh, okay, where did Miss Manners go? And so Jennifer Tilly basically get asked about coming on the show, and she's like, I'm a big Housewives fan, but actually being here, it's luxurious, but damn, these hoes is crazy and they be crying. Andy asked about obviously having to straddle the middle with Kyle and Sutton and the ladies, and Dorit kind of felt like low-key Jennifer Tilly came on and was being a little messy boots, because in the after show she was talking about PK and that expensive ass hotel, and so she was like, I wasn't meaning to be shady. She was like, I was just saying stuff, and Garcelle was the one who called it out, like, ooh bitch, like she was like, I was just saying stuff, So then, of course, she gets asked about, as Erica said, Jennifer Tilly got some good shit, okay? She had that Louis Vuitton that was designed by Pharrell. And Andy basically asked her, is your checks from The Simpsons at least 7 figures a year? And she was like, I can't say. And so Kyle was like, look at her hand. Of course it is, boy. Jennifer had rings on all her damn fingers, okay? Just, I would give me 1 week to live like Jennifer Tilly. Just 1 week, okay? I know that Simpsons check is big, okay?
Cash make the coochie go woo woo.
Okay, big money. And that's why, Kyle, you need to take heed to like what these bitches are saying, is take your ass to the Kyle and dumbass Dorit, get your ass in the lawyer's office and start crunching numbers, bitch. Because the only reason Tilly got that money is because she listened to her friend when they told her, take your ass to the divorce lawyer and get some shit figured out. Because he tried to offer her just half of $750,000 in a bank account, and Miss Ma'am walked away with a fortune that's still paying her way to this day. Okay? So you just need to take heed. But Dorit basically felt like, oh no, like she came in and basically joined the wicked witches of the East. And Garcelle was like, okay, bitch, like ain't nobody no witches over here, god dang. And so so we get to Sutton, and basically Sutton is playing it real, real quiet, real sort of kind of cute. She admitted that she shouldn't have said that shit about, her wallet being small, basically, and it was rude and beneath her. And then they started talking about Kathy because she was out there, I forgot. And so the question is about like, is Sutton, are there some ladies who are afraid of Kathy on the show? And some people was like, well, Sutton is. And Sutton's like, well, I'm actually friends with her. Like, I talk with Kathy on the regular. The rich people love to stay together. But Sutton definitely is walking on a tightrope with Kathy because she is trying to maintain that friendship with Kyle. And she knows in order to do that, I also need to be on Kathy's good side. And the fact that Sutton was going after Kyle these previous seasons, I think, as into why she caught that goddamn faint attack last season, she didn't want to have to address Kathy over the way she was going after her. But nonetheless, you just wouldn't have no show if it wasn't for Garcelle and Sutton asking the motherfucking questions, period. So when Dorit started getting into Sutton's ass about like, where's that Sutton at? Where is she at? She's like, with you, like, you don't really know how to be a friend. There ain't no sisterhood. You just buy friendships. And this is like the second or third time that Dorit has said that. And so Sutton is like, what the do you mean? I ain't never bought no friendships, honey. And Dorit said, oh, there she is. There she is with that beady-eyed look. There she is. And then that's where the episode ended. Bitch, when I tell you, Jennifer Tilly, when Sutton and Dorit was going back and forth, they just kept panning to her, just going like, she was just over there like, dinner and a movie, like just over there crunching. That shit had me hollering. Keep Jennifer Tilly on as a friend. As a friend, okay? I know y'all might want to try to bring her on next season as full-time since Garcelle is gone and Sutton definitely is going to need some allies, but don't do it, okay? Don't do it. Sutton needs to fend for herself anyways, is how I feel. And another thing too, Kyle needs to go because, girl, you don't want to share your life anymore. Erica needs to either be a friend or go because, bitch, the only thing we see going on with you this season is putting up some new goddamn wallpaper. And you had the nerve to sit there and call Garcelle uninteresting. Bitch, get out of here. But yeah, you guys, that was Housewives of Beverly Hills. Like I said, wasn't really too much part 2. So part 3, we see the conclusion where Garcelle said, I'm gonna get ghost on your hoes. And I wonder what it was that caused that. But yeah, I appreciate y'all guys for tuning in. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll catch y'all hoes later.